Hey everyone, did everybody want to take control of the work-life balance post-COVID? Today's guest, I get the chance to talk to David and Nicole Barnett, who are pioneering the new way of working, restructuring the days and the shifts that we work in the salon by working under the belief system of no work Saturdays. Take a look at this interview. Thank you very much, David and Nicole. You need no formal introduction. You're regulars on Hairdressing Live, been here several times before. But I am very happy to chat to you today about something completely different, right? You guys have been pioneering this movement, this new movement about no Saturdays, which seems to be quite a big innovation for for the industry, as in changing the mindset, because Saturdays ultimately are our busiest day. How did this come about with you guys to sort of change the way we think about these things?
Well, that's the big question to begin with, is Saturday really your busiest day? I mean, that is the question. I mean, the way that this all came about, though, first and foremost, I think a couple of different reasons. Firstly, even like pre-COVID, what we've been seeing is a lot of people leaving our industry or leaving the salon work environment, right? They're working from home. In the US, they're going and starting their own independent salon suites. That has become a massive part of our industry in the US. And it's something that salon owners, especially if they're team-based salon owners, they've been complaining about for the longest time, but not really coming up with a solution for it, or just a complaint, really. It's just like, you guys, you shouldn't be doing that, and we can offer better customer service in the salon. But what we really felt was that the stylists were really saying, I want to come first. Yeah. You know what? I want to work the schedule that I want to work. I want to prioritize my family and my loved ones as well. I want to have this great work-life balance, and I feel like I can't do that in the salon. So I'm going to go and just work from home, or I'm going to go and take a salon suite. Now, COVID comes along, and I think what we've seen with COVID in many industries is that it has magnified the effects of what was probably going to happen anyway, right? So for a lot of businesses, that unfortunately has meant closure. Mm-hmm. For other businesses, it's meant progression, it's meant further development, more locations, right? So I really feel like it's enhanced what was probably in the pipework anyway. So this whole movement that Nicole and I have been talking about now for several months, actually, because that's the other thing, we're business coaches first and foremost. So before we go and just say, hey, you should try this, we've got to make sure the numbers work. But, the core belief behind this, because it's not just a schedule change, the core belief behind this is that it's our opportunity to turn around to our team members and say, you know what, guys, you do come first. You are my number one priority, because we really believe that your team are never going to be happier than your guests, right? The team have to come first. And when they're super happy and they're loving the environment that they're working in, they're loving their job, it's going to flow through onto the guest experience as well.
I think you touched on something there about the way we work, and it was like a sort of almost like catapulted it forward a little bit more, and moving that mind shift. We're working very hard before, like working all the hours. It was all about money, turning over, trying to maximize the output of, or maximize the time that is related to the salon environment. And then when we did break for COVID, and everybody did reflect on their true values, I think they have come back in with a different mindset. Now, I mean, there's some salons that had to change their shift as well, didn't they? They had to change the way they worked. So if there was like a 20-seater salon and there was, maybe 10 stylists in there, they all had to work different shifts. So they had to cohabit in a salon where they had to do different shifts. So they weren't working together. So they were working ultimately different hours. And I've seen that across the board for a period of time. However, I have seen some salons go back to normal hours as such. So those like maybe 30-hour weeks or 32-hour weeks have gone back up to 40-hour a week. So what you're saying is realistically still a 40-hour week, right? But removing Saturday as the main day, right? I mean, how do you, in a nutshell, if some salon was very much, you know, attracted to this environment, and they were like, really, oh God, you've got my attention, Dave and Nicole, you've really got my attention on this. How do I do the metrics? How do I figure this out? You know, I know you're coaches, and you're very successful coaches, and you have salons all over the world. And it's safe to say you're all over the world. So realistically, the US and maybe European salons, if we can touch on those areas, do things change dramatically in the, you know, say the different types of days, so Monday through to Saturday? Is the US, in certain parts of the US, is Saturday the busiest day, or is it not the busiest day type of thing? Does it change and alter in different parts of the world? But ultimately, if a salon was attracted to maybe trialing this out, how do they work out the sort of metrics of trying to understand whether this will work for me or not? And if it didn't work, I mean, have you, you know, like I have to say, I mean, ultimately it sounds amazing. It sounds really, really interesting. I'm sure you've grabbed a lot of people's attention with this, and a lot of ears have pricked up. But ultimately, do you think, like, I mean, if they had to, say if business wasn't great for them afterwards, how, you know, they had to shift it back? Or do you honestly think that, you know, and I don't mean to be skeptical, I just have to think of the pros and, you know, I've got to think.
We've looked at all these scenarios as well, but Nicole, why don't you take that?
Yeah, so I think firstly, the idea that this isn't just a schedule change is the first concept. We need people to hear this to wrap their mind around, because lots of us out there, lots of us stylists, right? We hear something fun and exciting and we're like, yes. And then I'm gonna go tell my team right now. Yeah. Right? Because we like to let's do it. That sounds fun. Right? And that's like, so you have like the super like Saturdays, that's a non-negotiable. And then you've got people who are super excited, they're going to tell their team tomorrow. And I think wherever you fall in that spectrum of, I'll try anything right now, to I need to sit and think about this for a while and see other people do it first. It's like moving mass.
It's like moving mass to Monday. Do you know? It's like,
yes, exactly. Like, right. So I think first of all, it's understanding is your why in alignment with this, because it's really not about the days of the week. It's about the why. And first you have to say, is that in alignment with the mission and the core values of my business? Or is it time to do a little reinvention, and I want that to become a core value of the culture of my team and my business in our community, right? So first it's understanding the concept that it's not just about Saturdays. It's about, there's a different lens that people are interpreting their life through today. And it used to be before that work-life balance was a desire. How do we get work-life balance? I really want work-life balance. The new filter is, I demand work-life balance. And people are making extreme life decisions in order to have it. Extreme life decisions, even if that means less money, even if that means switching job, like ending my career and going and just getting a job until I figure out what I'm going to do. So there's a lot of extreme things happening. And I think it's important that we're in touch with that lens that people are viewing their life through now. Yeah. So that takes us to the Saturday concept. So there's the why behind this, that we're filling the need of the lens that our professionals are wanting this work-life balance. And then we have the Saturday thing, which has been the blueprint of the business structure in our industry for who knows how long. Like, where did this even come from? Maybe this is what worked 30 years ago. Yeah. And we've all just done what the people before us have done. And maybe it worked 18 months ago. But I think the question is, does it work today? And the blueprint, a business blueprint, is not a one size fits all. And that's where this gets really exciting, that the non-negotiables of yesterday do not need to apply today. That every business out there is different. When we approach working with a salon or a beauty business, I've never seen one that's exactly the same as another. Right. So I can't advise on this salon and this salon on the exact same thing, because so many variables are different. Unless
we've taken a deep look at, of course, what's going on, right?
Well, but it's never a template. It's never a template. Yeah. It's every business has lots of unique factors. And that's where I do not encourage someone to just say, I'm going to go give this a try. And if it doesn't work, we'll open back up on Saturdays.
Yeah.
There are so many problems with that scenario.
It's like being a parent. It's like being a parent and saying we're going to have the best Christmas ever, and then cancelling the following week. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. Once you've given it, you can't take it away.
It's like anarchy. Like, it's right. So how do we get there? Right? Like you were asking. So how do we get to that? How do we get to that process? And here's another thing that COVID, I think, lit the fire for all of the entrepreneurs and business owners, because we always call ourselves stylists, but if you own a salon and you employ a team, you are a business owner. And I think I think business owners in our industry have, again, it's accelerated their desire to be empowered to understand the business part of their business. Because if there was ever a need for a business owner to understand their numbers or their figures or their revenue or their profit, whatever, all of that stuff combined, it's now, because we've had to navigate a lot of struggles over the last year and a half, and we're not done with them yet. There's going to be a lot of pivots and maneuvering around what the future, the unknown of the future, and what that's going to look like. So in that regard, I think a lot of business owners have dug in deep and say, I need to understand this stuff. Like, if I'm bringing in more money, why don't I have more in the bank? That's my biggest thing. And that's the biggest challenge salon owners reach out with. I'm doing more and more revenue, but the business is still broke. My team's making more money because the revenue's going up, but the business isn't making any more money. And that's where we just don't know what we don't know. And that's okay. We can get you there. So understanding your numbers and doing that due diligence is very important, because this is your team's livelihood and your business livelihood. So research, though, right? So we've been working with this in the background in our community for a while before we kind of brought it to the industry. And all the businesses that we've sat and run numbers with, not one had Saturday as the busiest day. Not one. Okay. It's a perceived thing that we've always been told.
Which they were shocked about, a lot of them, because they thought, like, it feels busy. But what we're looking at, though, is not just revenue coming in, but also profitability. How many team members have you got working that day? What are the services that you're offering? What are you charging for them? So again, Nicole has created this incredible way of doing a full menu audit, where she's able to tell you exactly what is your most profitable service, what is your least profitable service, which, believe me, is shocking. I mean, we're talking about $1 million salons or £1 million salons that we've been working with. And when we break down exactly what they're making per service, they are blown away at the little amount of profit that they're making on certain services, and doing a lot of them, whether that's blow drying, some of the lower level haircuts, lower ticket services, and they're doing a lot of them, especially on the weekends. And there's maybe a couple of pound there profit, a couple of euro profit.
Okay.
So it makes it. It's not just an analysis of what is my busiest day. Let's look at the revenue. It's a deeper review than that.
Yeah. So
what you're saying is it's like it's not down to, I mean, it's financial as well, so partly, but you're saying, I mean, it's more culturally driven. It's about the culture, the brand awareness about, or even just the marketing, about the culture of the salon, what it should mean, right? Is that what the message you're trying to project there?
So the confidence to make the change comes from security from the numbers, right? So that's where your confidence comes from, that this is a sustainable financially, that my why is supported by the numbers, right? But it's not, I don't want people to just look at revenue, because there's so many factors. Different days of the week, you have different number of team members working. You have different hours that you're open. And oftentimes with Saturdays, we already work on reduced hours. It's the first day team members ask for, I want Saturday off, right? Can I use all my holiday to take lots of Saturdays off? It's the highest day of people calling in sick, right? Like if they're going to call in sick, it's going to be on Saturday.
Okay.
And then it's also looking at, when we look at average service per client, average retail per client, rebooks, again, those, when I'm ranking, say Tuesday through Saturday, Saturday's coming in for most people around day 4. And then that's usually compared to a day earlier in the week where there's a lot less staff. Like if they're open on Mondays, it's usually a really light day, like 2-3
like
people
skeleton staff
versus a Saturday with 8, right? Yeah. So it's really looking at those factors. And when you look at how much time there is during the week, the 6 or 8, usually 6-7 hours you're open on a Saturday, it is not difficult to redistribute those hours during other days, other length by length, being open a little bit later in the evenings, or if you're open on Monday, opening Mondays. So there's lots of things we look at to give you confidence in the numbers. But from the concept of like, it's a cause, then we get confidence through, is this viable for my business? And then here's the thing that David mentioned, right? So the number one problem in our industry right now is retaining team members.
Yeah.
And attracting new team members to the salon team-based environment. Number one problem, and it's been that for a while, but it's really difficult right now. Everybody's hiring, but the demand for salon services is up. So the pressure's on the salon owner, where I've got the phones ringing and I don't have enough team members. So this is,
why do you think that is? Can I ask why do you think? I mean, I know, look, you guys have a huge community yourself, and you've been chatting and networking with so many other salon owners and like-minded people like our viewers right now. What do you think is the reason behind that right now? There's a lack of everybody. Do you think people are leaving the industry? Do you think, what's your understanding of?
Honestly, I do believe that it's going back to what we talked about earlier. This belief that people have now that I come first, right? Me, my family, they are my number one priority. Not the clients, not your salon, not your business, me. My number one priority, which sounds really selfish, but it's human nature, and I think, on top of that, of course, there's been a lot of mental health issues that have been happening, so again, a lot of depression, got a lot of anxiety going on. And we know that as bosses, it is probably the most frustrating thing in the world when you have a 21-year-old call you up and say, I have anxiety, I have mental health issues, I'm stressed out. And you're thinking, you're stressed out. You don't own a business. You're 21 years old. But the real side of this is that this is real. This is happening. It's not like it was when we were apprentices, Paul, at Tony and Guy, right? It's not like that anymore. Things have changed dramatically. And the last 18 months has really enhanced all of that as well. So that means that we've got to adjust as business owners and as leaders, right? So we've got to come back with, what else? What else can you say that you're going to do? And, Nicole just talked about the numbers and having confidence in what you're doing. But the other side of this is there's a massive upside to this. And that is the way that you're able to market and promote yourself as something different. Think about this. Yeah. When you go and buy a lot of different products, like for instance, I always straight away, a company that jumps to mind is Tom's shoes, right? Not exactly the most attractive shoe in the world, right? But
I wear them. I'm joking.
I love them. I love them. Everybody has a pair. That's the thing, right? Or multiple pairs, right? But they have a very, very strong belief in what they do and why they are in business, right? You buy one, you give one, right? There's an alignment there.
What is it? You buy one, you give one. What do you mean?
So basically, when Tom's shoes, right? When you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, they will donate a pair of shoes to somebody in the third world.
Ah, wow. Okay.
That is what was their springboard, right? Yeah. So not only were they coming out with a shoe, but also all of a sudden they aligned themselves with people that had a similar belief. You know, I love what they're doing. I'm going to buy those shoes because not only do I feel them that they're very comfortable and I like them, but also they are in line with my belief. And that's the other side of this as well. There's very few hairdressing companies out there that have these kind of core beliefs, you know, in their DNA of their business, right? And that's the other portion of this, is when you start to market yourself as a company that does something that's bigger than just hair. Yeah, right? It's bigger than just a service in the community. It's also about how we look after people, how we look after our team members, the work-life balance. And again, it gives you something to promote your business as, that's going to make you stand out totally different than the other 25 salons on your street, like you have, Paul, in Dublin.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. So I mean, it's a great marketing tool, as well as, you know, giving something back to your team, and, you know, incorporating that really lovely environment to work in. You know, I always, you mentioned as well, there's another company, a food company, that is their core belief is what you mentioned that. Could you explain that?
Chick-fil-A, yeah. So there's a fast food company. There's a fast food company in the US called Chick-fil-A. Any of your listeners in the US will definitely know them, and you may, even if you only visited the US, you've probably seen them before as well. They normally open up right next door to McDonald's. Okay, very similar kind of food, really. It's fast food, right? But their belief is that they should be closed on Sundays. They have some Christian religious beliefs behind it, but also the fact that they believe that that time should be spent with their family, including their managers on their team. So they closed down. Now, when they first opened up, they were told by the fast food world that they will not survive, that McDonald's does 30% of its business on a Sunday, and there's no way that you're going to survive. Now, they have had more marketing publicity from that core belief than they have about their food, right? And the average McDonald's is now doing probably about $22 to $23 million a month, and Chick-fil-A does about $41 million a month, so almost double, right? And because of this core belief, they've kind of been seen as like the white collar, if you will, the white collar of fast food. It's like, don't take your kids to McDonald's, but Chick-fil-A's okay. You can go there. You know? Just because again, they have a different belief in why they're in business and the way they look after it. It becomes more human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I mean, we have had this discussion. I mean, I'm in business myself, and for those of you who know that, I do have a salon, and there is a conservative approach that I usually take as well, which I've kind of discovered over time, you know. And I wanted to raise this question to you as well. I love your idea, and I love the passion behind it, and I love the way the message can be driven into the industry and make something different and make a change. It's challenging the status quo. I mean, we're almost like, you know, it's like the retail is completely different to hairdressing. I completely understand, but we fell under that bracket almost. Busy on weekends so people can shop and, you know, have the hair done, all that type of thing. But hairdressing is slightly different, you know, in that regard, rather than retail, because I know retail do most of their business on the weekend, but that you know, the biggie days are on Saturdays. But like what you said, it's not the biggest day on Saturdays in hairdressing usually. Is there a way of cohabitating that idea with, you know, say for instance, you do have some older, more mature people that want to spend their time with their families, their siblings, and so on and so forth. And then you got the younger stylist, maybe, who, you know, possibly wants to go out for a few drinks on a Saturday night, you know, which we were often partial to, David. To do that.
Never.
But on a Saturday night, if that made sense. So could you do it in such a way that, or you're meaning, no, it has to be a clear message. It can't be distorted. It can't be cloudy. It can't be, where do your thoughts lie with that?
So here's the thing. You can do a schedule change to suit however you want to run your business. But that is just a schedule change.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a tool or an opportunity for you to grow. So this is when we look at a problem, any problem, like as a business consultant, when I look at a problem, first I think of what's a solution that solves it, but it's only a good solution if it also creates growth. So when we look at solving challenges or problems, does it solve the problem at hand? And then does it create the opportunity for more growth? Because that's it, it's got to do both. And so you can, some people are like, I give my team every other Saturday off, we rotate, everyone gets one Saturday a month off. I think all of that is a win. It's still a win with you trying to help figure out your team balance between work, their career and their life situation. Is that a springboard for marketing, for community PR? Probably not. Right? But if you look at it, again, that's why the why has to be deep, right? The reason why you want to do it. And when I look at this concept, I don't just look at it as being an opportunity for the single salon on the corner of which we have in every town, in every city in the world. I'm looking at our industry. Like we've been in our industry for a long, long time, and we've played lots of different roles. Stylist, educator, business coach, right? We've worn lots of hats in the industry, and we love this industry. And I feel like there's a part of our industry that's dying, and we're not seeing young professionals come into it at the rate they used to. They're coming in and they're dropping out. And so I'm also looking forward, not just to tomorrow. It's what's our industry going to look like in 10 years, in 15 years. And I think part of that, it relies on the team-based salon surviving. That business structure stays alive. And I think going to a more professional schedule, this has been the feedback from salons we're rolling it out with, the perceived perception of it making them feel more professional. And I think it's an opportunity to create a differentiator to attract new stylists to your business right now. I think it's a differentiator for young professionals, young talent saying, well, I'm not going to choose hairdressing because it means I have to work weekends the rest of my life. If we take that off the table, I think we're going to get people that have a desire and a passion and a talent coming into our industry now that it's not the same old, there's a different blueprint that we can offer.
I think I think the other important part of this, right? Because you mentioned there, Paul, about, could they open every other Saturday? Could we split it up? The thing is, that message will only be apparent if you're on that hairdressing team, right? If you're a part of that salon team, you're going to know about it. This has to be something that's obvious to everybody. So a client who is not a client of the salon can walk down the street and go, oh my God, that's Davey. They're that salon that don't open on the weekends. I read this whole big piece about them. They really stand up for their team members. They look after them in a different way, and they don't open on Saturdays. That's their thing, right? And it becomes then something that, again, it's a massive differentiator, but it's got to be obvious. So it becomes obvious then to other stylists. Every salon in town all of a sudden are talking about you, because they're like, how are they going to make that work? They must be out of that mind. Davey's finally lost it, right? He's closed on Saturdays. Right? We always knew he had potential to lose it, and he's gone and lost it. Right? But they're going to be talking about you, and we all know there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? It's better to be talked about than not talked about, right? And I think that's the thing, people that are deciding to go with this and they are spearheading it, we're seeing an incredible amount of publicity for them in their local communities. So local newspapers, TV stations coming in and saying, you know what, we want to cover this piece. It's really, really good. Like, you know, it's completely different. It's a new angle, it's a new story. We feel it's a great follow-on from what we've been seeing over the last 18 months. Let's cover the story. So for those of you who are thinking about something like this and think, you know what, I want to look at this. I want to see what it looks like for us, because I want to be the first in my area to do it. There's a massive opportunity there for you to get on that crest of that wave and get all of the local press as well.
I mean, where do people, I mean, say people are interested in doing this, right? And obviously there's a bit of shouldering, hand holding, whatever you want to call it, you know, mentoring through this. How did they get in touch with you? Like, I mean, where did they get? I mean,
So,
you can give me the.
Well, look, I mean, first and foremost, you know, the reason that Nicole and I put this idea out there is because that's exactly what it is. It's an idea that, you know, we've done the due diligence on, right? The idea is free. Go for it. Run with it if you want to just run with it. If you would like to speak to us and us to kind of walk through whether your business is going to be a good fit for this, then you can totally do that, right? So. Can I just sorry, I just I mean, I just wanted to say to you as well that, sorry about that, it's cutting across. I do truly believe that if somebody is going to embark on such a thing like this, they need to collaborate with somebody, need help with this to maximize the maximum potential that you can create with this. So for me, I would sort of say to you, talk to you guys. That's ultimately what I would say to you. Go and speak to you. And see how you can help them that way. I mean, that's ultimately because they need to maximize the marketing, they need to maximize the exposure, and what this message truly is. Do you know? Yeah. So what we've done is we've set up a special link on our website that allows you to book a free call with us, right? So we jump on and we can talk about, you know, the stuff that's really under the bonnet, if you like, right? You know, under the hood of exactly how this all works, you know, what you need to be looking at, what you need to be tracking. And then, of course, you know, if you want additional help with that, then we're totally able to help you. So you just go to joinhps.com. You'll see all the information there about We Don't Do Saturdays. And then there's a button there where you can just click and schedule a call with Nicole and I, and we'd be happy to have some more conversation about it.
Can you just elaborate anyways, let me segue into, just elaborate on the people that have actually gone and done this already? Like, I mean, you coach many salons at the moment. Have people embarked on this, or they're preparing to launch this? What's been the journey so far?
Yeah, so we have a large sort of collaboration of salons right now that we're all working with the same rollout time period together. So October, I think it's October 2nd, that first weekend in October is our first weekend of We Don't Do Saturdays. So the salons in the UK that we're partnered with, that's when we're rolling it out in our salons. And we've got a lot of salons that are rolling it out with us at the same time. So we're doing it in conjunction. Now it's time to call the press. Now it's time to tell the team. Now it's time to tell the clients that we've been walking through that process together. And so we're at the point now where our teams know, like lots of salon teams in Ireland, the US, and the UK. So again, a diverse marketplace. The teams know, the clients know, and now we're in the stage of we're two weeks shy of actually having our first Friday happy hour.
Because obviously, you know, because a lot of salons, especially a lot of the salons that we work with, they've got
their books,
a lot of future bookings, right? So we didn't want to move any of those. So it was like, you know, when we first announced this idea to some of the first salons, it was like, okay, when can we first do this? So we were back in June, then July. So it was like June. October 1st. October 1st seems like to be a good cutoff. We can start it then. That gives us enough time to prep and to close Saturdays and to get the word out there in the right way. So again, it's not something you're going to just do next week, right? So a lot of salons that we work with have said January 1st as well. You know, let's kick off 2022 with that schedule. So again, it just depends.
Well, yeah, and some went as soon as we rolled it out in our community. Some went and they're closed Saturdays already.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're doing fine. They're doing, like I said, because some of us, I love it. I'm doing it right now. And so they went and did it, and they're doing absolutely fine. And again, but it's more about just their team, right? It wasn't so much a bigger message to the community and outreach. It was just about what they were doing for their team right now,
but
which is still a win. That is still a win.
We have a salon.
Everybody happier and everything, in the salon.
We have a salon in the US that we're working with right now, Paul, who are about to open their second location. They are, they are a 7-figure salon, have a large team, right? So do over $1 million in revenue. As soon as we talked about the idea, they were all over it. They were like, absolutely, this is us. They're called Rooted Culture. So, they are all about the culture of their business. And they were like, this just goes on top of what we're doing already. So we love it. Let's do it. Anyway, this week they rolled it out to their guests, to their team, right? To the team and to their guests. And just the feedback on social media from why, after they explained why they're doing it, the feedback from the guests was unbelievable. There was just so much positivity and joy. And, it was like hats off to the leadership there as well. We can't believe you're doing this. This is amazing. We're completely behind you 100%, and it was just positivity after positivity after positivity, and I think that's the thing, getting the message and the reason why. That's why when Nicole was saying your why, that is the message. It's not just, hey guys, starting November 1st, we're going to be closed on Saturdays, but we are going to open later on a Thursday and Friday. That's not going to work. It has to be explained. This is what we believe in. This is what we stand for. This is what me and my team have been through over the last 18 months. And because of that, this is what we have decided. This is the balance that we want to give our team members. And that's why it's so important that you get this right.
Very good, very good. Do you know what? There's some clients that I know, even if I take a weekend off, they go mad. Or even a week's holiday. Even a week's holiday. Paul, where are you going? Are you going away? Are you going somewhere far? Are you nearby? Are you around to do my hair? I'm like, oh my God, you joking me? No, but it's nice to hear that. I guess that's down to the message, isn't it? It's down to the message, how you deliver that out to them, and it's really so people obviously absorb that cultural, message that you're giving. Look, regarding the metrics, and I talked about that earlier on, I know it's very hard to kind of go into all that, but say if a salon did want to go into that, they can approach you on highperformancestylist.com or get you on email to contact you, because it's something that's, I think it's something that we're going to do as well together anyway, Nicole, auditing our services. I think that's something that we're going to do 100%. But if a salon really wanted to take a deeper dive into it, they can contact you on the email address, and you can do a full audit on the services, on the days, and so on and so forth. Okay, that's wonderful. Look, I have enjoyed every moment. I have no doubt this will be a huge success. It is a very brave and challenging, pioneering move, which is really, it's a disruptor. I've got to say, it's a disruptor of the industry. And I wish you all the very best. And it's something that I'm definitely going to take on board, and we're going to be chatting more ourselves anyway. But thank you very much for your time, David and Nicole, this evening. And you're going to obviously go to your children right now and cook some dinner. I'm going to do the very same. And thank you very much for your time. Okay.
Awesome, Paul. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, now. Thanks.
Hi, welcome to Hairdressing Live. My name is David Espinelli.
My name is Jordana Cabella.
I'm JB Mazzella, and I'm going to take you through this masterclass. Hairdressing Live.
The future of education.